My name is Bob Taylor, and I'm here today with my guest, Gary Cooper, from the Ventura County Humane Society.
Yes.
Gary, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Humane Society of Ventura County.
Yes.
Is that different than Humane Society of America? Or?
Yes, it is. But first, let me just correct you. It's Greg Cooper. Gary Cooper, of course, would be my famous uncle.
Yes.
We're not related. So the Humane Society of Ventura County is a local private nonprofit. The Humane Society of the United States is a national organization that primarily does advocacy. We do many more services other than just the advocacy of animals.
Okay, so are you tied up with them, or are you're part of the same organization, or not at all?
No, we're completely separate from the Humane Society of the United States or other national or advocacy organizations. We're just our own entity here in Ventura County serving the people of Ventura County.
Now, when I hear Humane Society in a community, I think, policemen, firemen, schools, Humane Society, and that's all part of a community.
Right.
But it really isn't like that, is it?
No, not necessarily. There are other government entities, including here in Ventura County, we have animal services, and they have a very specific function, a very specific role. They're located in Camarillo, and they provide a number of services. We're not them. We are our own private entity, relying 100% on private donations. We don't receive any government funding at all.
So Humane Society gets nothing from the state or federal government or anything?
Or national organizations like the Humane Society of the United States. We're completely on our own when it comes to funding. We rely on the people, the citizens of our community.
So we count on you. I mean, you're the first line of defense when it comes to animals in any way, or at least the first line of defense we ever think about. Yet, anytime I call you, you got to go call John to get a few dollars to come and do something, basically.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, there's good news and bad news about this. Humane Society is a very well-known term, and most people utter that when they're thinking about animal advocacy or the welfare of their animals. But we are our own entity, and not enough people know that we are separate from everybody else, that we're relying on everybody to do things for us for donations.
Okay, so what separates you from animal services, Ventura County Animal Services? What do you do that they don't do, or what's the difference?
There is some overlap, of course. First of all, again, going back to the financing, they are a government entity. Their funding is through their tax dollars that people spend and their money. I would say probably the biggest overlap would be adoption services. Adoption services, of course, is one of the biggest things that we do. We adopt out hundreds of animals every year. But I would say another difference is, even though we both have sets of officers, the Ventura County Animal Services have their animal control. So they go out and they respond to barking complaints. They also handle cases of maybe somebody got bit. Our officers are the only two humane officers in Ventura County, and their sole job is to protect animals from people. So they investigate abuse and neglect cases.
Okay, so the government services protect people from animals, you protect animals from people.
Correct, that's a very good way to say it.
Oh, that's kind of cute, I guess. So, but why is it when we hear stories of, like a rat-infested home or some lady that has 1,500 cats or something, why is it Humane Society first one called? I mean, you guys the ones that have to go do that, or do you have other services that you call to do that?
Sure, I would say in cases like that would be one of the smaller things that we provide to the community, to the county. But we would help out in cases where there's a hoarding case or cases where animals are in neglect, including rats or cats. So I think probably on point would be the Ventura County Animal Services with their officers, but we would be there to provide support for the animals, humane treatment of the animals.
So any animals that they get, do you work with them to make sure everything's humane, or do they do everything themselves to make sure everything's humane?
It's a collaborative process, and also depends on where the case may be. If we're called first, we're going to be the point people, but if, say, the county sheriff's department are called first because of maybe the case might be involved, some other legal aspect to it, county is going to be called first.
So you probably spend more time collaborating than you do right individually with a case or with a certain animal or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say that's a very good way to think about how we provide our services, because we do overlap with so many different entities and rescues in the county. We do a lot of collaboration, but it could be that the call comes in, like our humane officers respond to a dog is being neglected in a backyard, will you please come check that out? And that would be our job, our role, and we would respond.
Okay, now if somebody was to call the city, if some dog's barking too loud, or they think it's wrong or something, who does the city call? The city calls the government entity,
Chances are they would call the county, including us. If we receive those kinds of phone calls, we would educate the public and let them know that our humane officers are involved only in abuse and neglect cases. If it's a barking complaint, they need to call the city or the county.
Okay, but if you know that one is being abused, animals being abused, or if there's an animal out there biting people,
yes,
then you guys would get involved in that kind of thing.
Yes. Well, the biting cases would definitely go to county as well. Again, we're just looking at the welfare of the animals.
The welfare of the animals. So if you know one's getting abused, starved somewhere, that kind of thing. So some of the things like Shadows Fund, which only adopts older dogs, that's got to be really good for you guys.
Sure is.
Those kind of things really help you with animals that would be abused out there on the thing. Okay, so if somebody has an animal problem, whether it's birds or anything, and snakes, rats, anything, they call you guys first. You get the information and then collaborate with somebody, depends on who would be best for that kind of situation.
Yeah, every phone call we get or every person that comes in through the door, we're going to work on a case-by-case basis. And we want to make sure that the services that individual needs can either be handled by us, or if it can't be handled by us, we would direct them to the resources. And that would include a phone call. Maybe they saw a seal dying on the beach. That's not a case that we would handle. We would not respond to that kind of thing. There are other entities, other rescues, other organizations that could respond.
Would you tell them who to call?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not going to leave anybody hanging. You're going to get them somewhere.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No matter what it is, we're going to work on a case-by-case basis, and it really depends on.
If that seal is on the beach biting people, then that would be something you guys would respond to possibly.
Again, animal welfare.
Animal welfare.
But when it comes to wildlife, like say a seal on the beach, that would not be us.
Right. Even if people were abusing it.
Well, I guess that we'd probably have to look into that. But our humane officers are really looking more towards domesticated animals.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, what is your particular job out there? You're the director of community outreach.
Sure. My job is twofold. First and foremost, it's going to be to raise awareness to the citizens of Ventura County of our services, because we do provide services to the entire county, to the nearly 1 million people population here. We're looking out for the welfare for all the animals that are here in the county and the people that call us and need our services. The other part of my job would be to fundraising. Since we rely 100% on private donations and grants, no government funding at all, it takes quite a bit to run our shelter on a year-to-year basis. Right. So my job would be also to facilitate that. Okay,
before I get into that, where is your shelter?
Sure, we're located at 402 Bryant Street in Ojai. It's kind of the eastern part of downtown. We're on a 4.4 acre property. Okay. All of our services are run out of there.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to adopt a dog or that kind of thing, then they would go up to you guys up in Ojai and take a look at what you have and that kind of thing up there.
Absolutely. We're open to the public Monday through Saturday, so they can come during our normal business hours, and if they just want to check in and look at an animal that they might even be thinking about adopting, or we would encourage people just to come to check out our services just to see what it is that they might be wanting to donate for, just to want to know who we are. We encourage people to come through our doors.
Okay, in a nutshell, I mean, basically, are your facilities the same as other facilities of people that rescue animals?
Yeah, everybody's a little bit different. I've done a lot of research on different humane societies throughout Southern California to kind of get a sense of what it is that they do. And everybody offers slightly different services. Our facilities are geared very much toward the kind of things that we do. In addition to adoption services, of course, because that's one of our big things. We also have a spay and neuter clinic, which is really super important for the citizens of our county. For the sustainable pet population, we need to get our animals in. So that's a big part of it. Our humane officers work out of our facility as well.
Well, I think you guys kind of get the raw deal because you're needed just like police, fire, humane society, just like apple pie and baseball, an American thing, but you guys don't really get that credit, or you guys aren't the ones getting the money for that kind of thing on a regular basis. You got to fight for every dollar you get.
Sure, it's definitely a challenge, but it's an exciting challenge for me. Most of us, if not all of us, of course, believe in the mission of the Humane Society, so that we're out there facilitating and making sure that our animals are taken care of.
Now, do you find? I know we talk about collaboration. Do you find some groups consider you competition?
I imagine it's possible. I haven't heard of any cases of that. All of us want to manage and facilitate the better treatment of animals.
Right, or the passion wouldn't be there.
Exactly, we share that in common.
Right. All right, we touched on volunteers. And I know you guys can't pay for everybody that's going on talking Humane Society or all the people you have. How many volunteers do you think you work with on, let's just say, a monthly basis?
Yeah, our volunteer roster is probably 200-300, and that would be
Wow.
people who have identified or gone through the training process that have the access to come into our shelter and popping in and out during our normal business hours. I probably see 10 or 15 volunteers rotate in and out every day, and they vary. Sometimes we have regulars. But the volunteer program that we have is pretty robust, and it's very exciting. We give great access to the individuals. And we also allow volunteers as young as 10. So between 10 and 15.
Oh, that is really good for the school kids that really want to get involved.
Sure. We train them on the treatment and the ability to work with the animals as they come and volunteer. And as long as they're with an adult during that process, they can come and go as they please. Once they turn 16, they don't need the adult there. They can just come and go during our normal business hours.
You know, I always tell people, anybody that's depressed or having a hard time or death or almost anything, I always tell them just go volunteer a couple hours a day at an animal shelter. And that'll take them away from any problems they have whatsoever.
Yes, I call that doggy therapy. I do it for myself. If I had a bad day at the office, I'll go just sit in the kennel and pet a dog.
And it just, the whole rest of the world just kind of disappears when you do that, doesn't it?
It's amazing. And what the response of the animal, just giving them that 5 minutes, is really amazing too.
Okay, so if people want to volunteer or donate or help or just want more, do they just contact us, just contact you for anything?
Sure, I can certainly be that front line for information. Our phone number is 805-646-6505.
Okay, now slow down one more time because people are going to say, oh, let me grab a pencil real quick.
Of course.
Okay, so.
805-646-6505 is our general phone number. But really our website is going to be the best way to learn about our services and also to give back as far as donations and learning about volunteering.
So you can't just Google Humane Society, you'd have to go after Humane Society of Ventura County.
Yes, if you Google just Humane Society, unfortunately you would not reach us.
No, and so even in the Humane Society website, you couldn't say what area or anything, because that would take away from Ventura Humane Society of America.
Yes. So we put a lot of time and effort into our website, hopefully to direct traffic to us, because we want to serve the people of Ventura County.
And are you tied up with 211, which I always ask everybody, they're tied up with 211?
No, I don't know.
Okay, I mean, that's something really great to be involved in. I tend to call 211 at least once a month for information about something at all. And maybe I use them a little too cavalier, but anytime I want information about a nonprofit or anything, or housing or anything at all, I always just call 211. They give me a list of who's on there.
That's great. I'll bring it back to the office.
Yeah, I'll make sure they do know that. So where do you usually go? Where do you go to find people? What kind of events do you do?
We do a number of community events, a lot of street fairs or parades or festivals. Our director of our director for volunteers or humane educator will staff those booths, and sometimes they'll bring animals out. So we do adoption events. A really exciting thing is we'll go to local colleges and universities during their finals week and bring animals so that the students can de-stress, spend a few minutes with the animals.
Oh, that's really good. Maybe you said that for the right reason, not for the people to see my animals to adopt them, so that people can de-stress.
Absolutely, and that's a no-cost service to the schools. So if they want to call us up and request that, they certainly can.
So do you, other than like the school, do you take dogs to schools or anything other than like the college thing? Do you get called on tours, that kind of thing?
Yeah, one of the other exciting things is we have a humane educator who is on staff, and her job is specifically to go to elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and she'll bring her animals, which includes some exotics, and her job is really to educate the public, especially at the younger age, about the humane treatment
and so
of
the way you
animals.
say exotics, that's birds and snakes and those kinds of things.
Snakes, lizards, insects.
So you're a lot more than just what makes you more than the dog rescue, that kind of thing.
We take in any kind of domesticated animal.
Okay, that's a good way to end it. Any kind of domesticated animal that somebody needs help with, call Greg Cooper.
Absolutely, or call the shelter.
Or call the shelter. Well, then they'll get Greg Cooper.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us today, Greg.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my name is Bob Taylor. I've been your host for this segment of Our Ventura TV. I've been here today with my guest, Greg Cooper, from Humane Society of Ventura County. Until next time, thank you very much.